Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Desert Heat Sports Podcast. We are locked and loaded for a brand new, better week with new recording equipment and better preparation. This week, we're gonna give a couple topics ranging. We're gonna have college basketball, a little college basketball talk. We're gonna have a little Winter Olympics talk, a little Cavs talk, a little bit of football talk, and we'll finish up with a little bit of talk about the WWE and what's next for Ronda Rousey, and a little bit about LaVar Ball. Now, I want to start off with this show saying I like to send my thoughts and prayers out to the victims of the shooting in Parkland, Florida. It's a tragedy, and I don't want to see things like this going on. Next up, we'll go to the U of A versus ASU game, which was totally bogus. But that doesn't really take away from the fact that U of A won, while the refs absolutely killed ASU in the second half with fouls and no calls on U of A. It doesn't take away from the fact that ASU could not make a free throw. But everybody knows going into the game that Pac-12 refs are really volatile. Most people know that they don't make the best calls. And to be honest, I think the team's game plan for that going in. So the second half, Ayton basically did whatever he wanted on the boards, did whatever he wanted in the paint, and the refs just rewarded him by giving him trips to the line, which he capitalized on. He made the shots, he was doing what he could. And that's all you can really ask for from a player standpoint. And as an ASU fan, I'm trying to be unbiased here. I think he had a good percentage. I mean, he shot around 75%. I think that's really good for a guy his size. It's hard for bigger players to shoot free throws because some people say it's because of the angle they're at. They're looking straighter towards the rim. Some people say it's because of their hands. Some people say it's because of their arms. I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm not 7 feet tall, but I believe something's up. Something makes it harder because most big men have trouble shooting free throws. So he was making his free throws. That really didn't help ASU because of those calls from the refs, which most of them were just pretty bogus. Then I think we got to go into the biggest, my biggest takeaway from the game was the first half. They called like a normal NCAA game where they called no contact fouls and all the non-contact fouls, which I do not like. If you listened to me last week, I do not like how they call every traveling, every up and over. I think it slows down the pace of the game and makes the game a lot more boring to watch. But in the second half, they completely switched it. It was like they were reffing an NBA game for U of A, but still reffing an NCAA game for ASU. And I'm still trying to be unbiased here, but that's what it seemed like. When you go into the last 2 minutes with something like 13-2 fouls in favor of U of A, I just don't know what's going on there. It was obvious with Alonzo Trier getting that non-travel timeout, and Shannon Evans he wasn't able to get the timeout when he had the ball on the ground. I mean, that's just some evidence there. But overall, you just can't shoot 50% from the free throw line and expect to win. And also having Shannon Evans score 5 points the whole game didn't help. Shannon Evans and Trey Holder, when they were beating the top teams like Kansas or Xavier, Shannon Evans and Trey Holder, they were the ones really carrying the load for the most part. I mean, Cody Justice did work. Romello White was playing better when they did that. So it's hard to win a game when one of your best players doesn't have his A game going. But one thing I can say, though, is when they played both Xavier and Kansas, they didn't have these ticky-tacky, weird call, unpredictable Pac-12 refs. So that could go in favor of ASU in the tournament when they make it. And yes, I'm saying when they make it. I think it'll help them out a lot. If they can get more trips to the line, I know they were bad this last game shooting free throws, but their best games that they've played where they've been really high scoring, they've been able to take trips to the line, a lot of them. And I think in the tournament, without the Pac-12 refs, I think they'll have a lot better shot of winning games than a lot of people will give them credit for. Now, the next thing I want to get into is Bobby Hurley. I really like Bobby Hurley's passion. He goes crazy on the sideline. He reminds me of me. When I'm at home watching these games, I start to go crazy a little bit. You know, I'm a passionate fan. I like seeing my team win, and I don't like seeing my team lose, and that's how Bobby Hurley is. He does go a little overboard sometimes with his antics, but I have to say that he brings a winning culture in a way. And I think that will help. That'll be a plus in the tournament. Hopefully he doesn't go as crazy as he did against U of A, because he was lucky that he didn't get a technical at the end of the game when it seemed like he was mocking the ref. But he wasn't really mocking the ref. If you watch other ASU games, he does put his hands behind his back like that when he's trying not to go super crazy. But, you know, he has to keep it under control. But I think he can. Next major topic is the NCAA investigation. Now, for those people who don't know, the NCAA investigation into college basketball is about the different college teams and shoe companies paying players going to go to certain schools. And I have to start off by saying I do not care if players get paid. I think they deserve to get paid. I think they have skills that are being used, which essentially for free by the NCAA, which is just a joke, really. And it's not just a problem in college basketball. I think it's a problem in college football too, which may be an even bigger problem than in basketball, because at least in basketball you can do the one and done and get to the pros after 1 year. But in college football, you're stuck there for 2-3 years, and you don't really know what's going to happen. You have guys like Marcus Lattimore. There's tons of them. Marcus Lattimore, Maurice Claret, just a couple of them off the top of my head who really got derailed in college, who had really bright futures in the NFL. And they could have been ready after their freshman year or sophomore year even, but they got hurt. So they weren't able to, really cash out like they should have been. And I know there's an argument that they get the stipend, they get the free college and all that, yada yada, but when the system is set up the way it is, there's no other route for them to take, really. So the free college can kind of be offset by that. Say if there was a D-League for the NFL, I bet a lot of players would choose that route over going to college, because while the training might be harder, it would be a lot more beneficial for them to just be in football rather than be in school if they know that's what they want to do and they can make it. And another argument might be the stipend they get. And I admit the stipend is a pretty good amount depending on what college you go to. I have some friends and family who play D1 sports, some friends in D1 football, and they tell me about the different amounts of stipend they get based on the college. And it's not chump change, but compared to what they should be making, it could be highway robbery, you could consider. And if you didn't really create this black market for their skills in college basketball, you wouldn't have to deal with these issues of players getting paid. So I think the problem lies there. The NCAA has that bogus amateurism rule. Amateurism really isn't anything. It just holds back the players, to be honest. How does the game change if the players get paid? I can't think of a way it changes. To be honest, it might get better. People work harder when you give them money, most people. So incentivizing people, I don't get how that would make the game worse. I just don't know. One argument you can make for the amateurism rule is you could say, how about you pay the players, but you don't give it to the money to them while they're in college, because these are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. What are they going to do with all this money? And that is a good point. It's a good point to be made. I think that training these kids on how to use their money is a good idea. But there's also the angle where, how are you going to tell someone how they should spend their money? If they want to waste their money in your eyes on cars and jewelry and stuff like this, well, that's their prerogative. That's their choice. People learn lessons better by doing. So I don't know that you should really tell people what to do with money, but if you are, I think if these college teams, they get together and they don't really get together, they just create accounts for these players where they hold their earnings until they leave the college sports realm, or they graduate, and give it to them, pay them out after. I mean, I don't think that would be such a bad idea. I think at least they get money that way. But there's also the point to, a lot of these guys would look to use the money they earn in college to help their family. So there's a greater good out there that I think could be had. But there's many arguments that people could make. Overall, I think that the capitalist way to go, which America is based on capitalism, and really the NCAA is too. They just like to use free labor for some reason, and they're allowed to get away with it. I think it's a scam, and hopefully it ends soon. I think it will end soon. After this investigation, people will really see, why are we wasting federal dollars letting the FBI investigate kids getting paid for things they should be paid for. I think after this, the only thing that could be a problem is they could use the tax evasion angle, which I guess could be true, but like I said, there was a black market created and they were working under the circumstances that they had to. I think if some of the players paid out the money that they earned, or paid out in taxes what they earned from these companies or from the schools, maybe that could make up for it. I don't truly know how it works all that well, but I do know that there is a tax evasion angle, because these kids, a lot of them in some cases, were getting a substantial amount of money. So there's a couple things to look out there. This is from an article from Yahoo Sports, this story that this investigation could get unsealed, and they say that tons and tons of teams are involved in this, and if that's the case, I think the NCAA would really hope that it's this year that it gets unsealed, because if you look at the betting odds, there's no clear favorite on who's going to win. Right now, Michigan State is the favorite at, I think, as of last night, plus 500. And Villanova is number 2 at plus 550. These aren't very good odds for favorites. Usually, there's a clear front-runner team, a clear second-place team. They're closer to the plus 300 range, plus 350, 400 range. And this is just a unique year where a lot of teams have their neck in the game. They can get in there and win. So I think that there could be the big name schools getting bounced early, which could be bad for ratings for the NCAA. So if there were a year that they want this document to be unsealed, where these sanctions or coaches get fired happen, they'd want that this year, because this could be one of the worst rating years for the tournament. But you can't say. You never know. Maybe all these underdog teams in it could be good, but in the past, the best rating games have been powerhouse schools in there. Everybody wants to see him lose. That's usually what drives the ratings. I think overall, though, a better product comes from paying the players. So I don't know that there's a way for them to really stop the players from getting paid. It'll happen in a black market. It'll happen naturally. Whatever way they want to do it, it's going to happen. So I don't know where this investigation goes, really. I hope it ends well. Probably won't end well. Like they say in the article, it's just a matter of time before these guys start to get in trouble. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. All right, so for the next topic, I'd like to go into the Winter Olympics. Now, the Winter Olympics isn't the most exciting thing. I'm pretty sure not many people watched a lot of the Winter Olympics, and for the most part, some of the events are kind of a joke, kind of like bar games, aka curling. Some people would say. I say I could become a curler. You give me 6 months to train, I could be a top curler. I've seen the guy they have, that one guy with the mustache and the hat. People say he looks like Mario. Yeah, I could curl better than that guy. I think I'm in better shape. I doubt he has better balance than me. I really doubt he has any skill that I couldn't have. It's just about learning the game and getting the technique down. You know, people think it's tough. People try to make the argument that it's tough to curl. They say something about the technique in the lunge and the sweeping. I've swept before. I've lunged before. I've slid on ice before. I think I can do it all. This is no disrespect to the curlers out there. Sure, they want to consider themselves athletes. I guess you can. You do a sport if you consider that a sport. I mean, I know some people down at the local sports bar that like to play cornhole. I guess you could talk to them. I know some old folks that like to play shuffleboard. Shuffleboard's a pretty intense sport. You gotta slide that thing pretty far. I don't know. It could be a sport. There's darts. That's a fun game to play in a bar. For the most part, I do think though curling is just Canadian shuffleboard, Canadian cornhole. I don't know. People may get mad at that. I'm sorry, your feelings are hurt, but I could curl better than these national teams. You give me 6 months training. You give me say you give me the top curling trainer in the world, and I could become the best curler in history. And you know what else I'd do? I would seek out other curlers, and you know what I'd do? Actually, no, this is what I'd do. I'd seek out the best looking curling woman, and I would ask her if she wants to make a prodigy child in curling. That's what I'd do. I'd say, we should get together, we should have a child, and we should raise him or her to become the best curler of all time. Me with my newfound curling skills, and you with your lifelong curling ability. We could become a curling dynasty, some would say. I don't know if people would like that, but I think I'd like that. Being the best at anything seems pretty cool to me. The next takeaway I have from the Winter Olympics is how absolutely stupid these news companies are in covering the Winter Olympics. I mean, what in the hell is wrong with these people? They spent a week plus talking about Kim Jong-un's sister. They do realize that Kim Jong-un's sister is related to Kim Jong-un. That's why she's called his sister. And they realize that Kim Jong-un puts people in labor camps. And in fact, he did blow up his uncle, I think. Yeah, he blew up his uncle with an anti-aircraft missile because he fell asleep in his presence. And that they're cheering for this person. They're cheering for this person. I don't know what's wrong with them. They put out articles weeks in advance of the Winter Olympics saying don't fall for the propaganda the North Koreans may put out, and then they fall for the propaganda they put out. I don't know what's wrong with them. Probably the same thing that's usually wrong with them. They like to be stupid. Put it that way. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's cool. I don't think name anything good. I don't think it's that. I really don't. This is a dictator you're dealing with. He puts people in labor camps. He kills people. He starves people. He deprives people of essential information. He is a not good person. His family are not good people. I don't care how cute you think his sister may be. She's not cute. I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about her attitude, the way she is. Not funny, not cute, don't like it. Stop praising this person. She is a part of the regime. She has a position there. She's a part of it. She sends people to labor camps too. There's no way around it. And glorifying her would be like glorifying Hitler's sister. If this was 1940 or 1950, whenever they were having Hitler in the Olympics, I can't remember off the top of my head. Say if his sister came to the Olympics and the Washington Post, for example, was like, "Oh, would you look at Hitler's sister? What a good seed. What all this?" That would be ridiculous. It really would. It'd be similar to that. I don't see what they were doing there. And then the thing they were doing with the cheer squad, how gross was that? The articles they're putting out, give me a break. This cheer squad is a bunch of people. They're a bunch of slaves. You realize there was a video of one of the girls messing up. And I guarantee you, when they get back to North Korea, the girl who messed up is going to get pointed out and sent to a labor camp. It's really weird. These people were picked by hand as kids because they were good looking and trained to do this to make their country seem better. I don't know. It was really creepy. I don't know how people liked it, and the fact that the news covered it as a good thing is honestly really gross to me. I don't know why they did that. This is a country of people who live in fear. They live in hunger, and they're really all looking to escape. It's sad. Stop glorifying the Oons. Don't do it. Don't be a bad person. Next, on a higher note, I'd like to talk about the Cavs, the new look Cavs. I wrote these notes after the first game they played against the Celtics, or during the game they played against the Celtics. These are the notes I wrote. I wrote, Cavs, better defense, better effort, better three-point shooting. Those were my main takeaways. And if that wasn't evident, I think it was pretty obvious. But if that wasn't evident, you could look to the next game they played, where against OKC, where their defense may not have been top-notch, but it was good enough to get the job done. And I think it's hard, really, to stop a team with Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony, which I think is a team who plays to their competition. They're like, OKC is like that high school team, that good high school football team who thinks they don't have to try against a bad team when they're traveling over to that bad team's side of town, and they go think they're going to roll them all week. They don't try and practice. They don't do anything. They go into the game and they go down 7-0, then they go down 14-0. This is what the OKC Thunder are like. They don't really try against bad teams, and they try against good teams, and it shows. So I don't take the somewhat of a high score from the OKC Thunder as a sign of bad defense. I think, though, that Kobe Altman stole the model from from Daryl Morey and the Rockets. I honestly think Daryl Morey should go down. He should go somewhere. I think he has to do something about this. He literally got his team model stolen. And I don't know why other people aren't seeing this, but they're almost the same team as the Rockets. And I'll explain it. They have their two stars. The Cavs have Kevin Love and LeBron, compared to the Rockets, who have CP3 and Harden. Now they don't play the same positions, but they're the two focal points of the team. And while you haven't seen it with the Cavs yet because Kevin Love has been hurt, you will see it once Kevin Love starts playing. Then they have tons of defensive and 3-and-D wings. The Cavs have Rodney Hood. The Cavs have Kyle Korver. The Cavs have Larry Nance. The Cavs have a couple of dudes. And now, if you watch that game, I think a big takeaway is that the Cavs, they were able to keep a lead with LeBron on the bench, which is something LeBron hasn't had in a long, long time. And that was the biggest thing for me. When I was watching the game, I didn't notice it at first. It took me a second, but once I saw it, I was like, oh wow, this team is actually gaining a lead with LeBron on the bench. Usually LeBron would go out and they'd go down by some points. LeBron would have to come in and get them back in the game. You didn't really see that in January at all because LeBron was really not trying at all. He wasn't putting his full effort in there, and I think that was kind of obvious with the stats he was putting up, even though they were good compared to normal players. But let's be honest, LeBron isn't a normal player. He is the epitome of basketball talent. Now, I think this newfound energy is going to help him in the playoffs a lot. I think this ability to keep a lead with LeBron on the bench will help them out a lot. And I think their new defensive ability is a big plus. Being able to guard people, yeah, that's a good thing. Find that out. Isn't that interesting? The Cavs playing defense now, they're a better team. Who would have thought? My prediction with Jordan Clarkson from last week, being a sneaky good defender, because of his defensive rating, I think I was right. The first game he proved it. He had 3 steals, one that led to a breakaway dunk. I think he's trending up. I think he's going to be really good in the Cavs system. Another player, Rodney Hood, he's been playing good defense. He's been making his threes. He's shooting 50% in these 2 games. That's good. That's what the Cavs need. Just to break it down, I mean, it's really, I think that the Cavs and Rockets are going to meet up in the finals. I think there's a good chance that the Warriors could do it, but I'm leaning towards Cavs-Rockets. 1, because I want to see a new matchup. 2, because I think the Rockets are playing really well together. And 3, because I really think their lineup similarity is something that would be really fun to watch. Really, really fun to watch. And I can break down their lineup similarity even more. I mean, George Hill, similar to Chris Paul, defensive point guard who can dish out the rock. He can play off the ball, which he's been doing really well with James Harden. You got their centers. Their centers have basically the same job, really. While Tristan Thompson and Clint Capella aren't really comparable as players, their job is basically to defend and catch lobs. They don't have to do anything else. And I think that's what they do, and they do it well. Kevin Love, he's comparable to Ryan Anderson. It's pretty obvious, that comparison, because they're both big white guys who shoot threes, which is the easiest comparison you could make. Now, LeBron and James Harden, I think, are the two players you compare on the Cavs and Rockets if you're trying to make the argument that their teams are the same. LeBron and James Harden run their teams. And I don't think there's much else you have to say about that. I think it's kind of obvious. While maybe they don't play the same, they have the same function. Like the same thing with the centers. It's the same. So the next, I would compare Rodney Hood to Trevor Ariza, which isn't that far-fetched, really. Similar size, similar defensive ability, similar offensive ability. I think Rodney Hood's better on offense, while Trevor Ariza's a little better on defense, which it would balance out. I mean, it's not bad to be better on offense than defense. I think this game, in the end, you want to have more points than the other team. And how do you have more points? You score more points. That's right. I think that their teams are very, very similar. Their bench depth, very, very similar. I think it'll be fun, if they make it, to watch this matchup, because seeing the Cavs try to slow down the Rockets would be really interesting. And I think that Tyronn Lue is a better defensive coach than people may give him credit for. When they won the championship, their real staple was defense. If people don't remember, the Cavs held the Warriors to under 100 points, something like 3 times in that series. And that's the big reason why they were able to win. So I don't really take into account what they were doing this year and really last year, because they changed up what kind of team they were. They went from a really good defensive team. They gave up some players. They wanted to go more shooting to try to match the Warriors, which wasn't a good idea because the Warriors have defenders. They defend and shoot. So trying to match them in shooting while making your defense worse isn't a good way to compete with the Warriors. I think what they did now puts them in a better position to compete with the Warriors or Rockets. But overall, I think that this matchup, or the defensive mind of Tyronn Lue is better than people give him credit for, because, like I said, with the past experience in the finals and now, I think you'll see that the team will perform better on defense than they have been. And then you compare that to Mike D'Antoni, who's one of the best offensive minds as a coach, I think, with his 7 seconds or less system. I mean, you saw it with the Suns. You saw it many times. Steve Nash. Those were good teams. So I think it would be a really good matchup, the Rockets and the Cavs. Such similar teams, opposite their coaches. They kind of coach the opposite side of the ball better, with Lue with the defense and D'Antoni with the offense. I think that would be a good matchup that I would like to see. And keep in mind that the Cavs are doing this all with their chemistry. Their chemistry isn't down yet. And I think once they get their chemistry down, they'll be even better than they are now. And I think they will be a team that people need to watch out for more closely. Next, I think I want to get into strength of schedule. An article came out by CBS this week, their yearly strength of schedule rating article, where they basically take the win percentage of each team's schedule and say how hard their schedule is going to be for this year. I don't buy that. It's not a good stat. The win percentage of the teams you're playing, the win percentage of the last year of the teams you're playing this year, it doesn't matter. Most teams fluctuate. Most teams have turnover. The stat doesn't matter. And it annoys me because you see the announcers every week talking about how, they have this hard of a schedule, and their schedule is this easy. It's not true. If you take example for the Packers, they're set to have the hardest schedule this upcoming year. And you know what? I think that bodes well for them. Because in the past, when they've been set to have the easiest schedule, it turned out to be the hardest. So I'll take that with a grain of salt. Their hardest with air quotes schedule. We'll see this year. I don't think anybody should be scared about this strength of schedule argument with their schedule being hard. It doesn't matter. Just to go deeper into the Packers, I think in 2016 they were set to have one of the weakest, if not the weakest, as their teams the year before had only won 45% of their games, and it had ended up being the 12th hardest schedule, which doesn't sound all that great, but that's above average. That's over the top half of the league. And they won 50% of their games instead. And 2017, they were set to play, or they were ranked to only play teams that won 48% of their games, not much higher than the year before, but ended up playing an even more difficult 54% win schedule. And that was actually ranked as the hardest in the NFL. Maybe it carries over this year. Maybe it breaks the mold. I doubt it, though. I truly doubt it. I don't think these stats are end-all, be-all. I think the Packers aren't the only team to see a swing either. I think any team, if your team is set to have the easiest strength of schedule, don't bet on it. Don't go into the season thinking we're going to blow through the year. You probably won't. You'll probably face a tough schedule. You'll probably face some teams coming off a bad year wanting to improve, like all teams, but they'll turn it around and you won't be facing as bad as a schedule as you did before. I think another thing you have to take into consideration in these strength of schedule arguments is the division a team plays in. Taking as an example the AFC East or AFC North. AFC East every year. Who do they play? You have the Patriots they play the Bills, they play the Dolphins, they play the Jets. Those are teams who have been pretty bad. That makes their strength of schedule look pretty easy when you play those teams twice a year. What about the AFC North? You got the Steelers, you got the Ravens, you have the Bengals. Who else is in that division? The Browns. Oh, how could we forget the Browns? The Browns 0-16. Yeah, I think that speaks for itself. Just don't buy in to this schedule easy stuff. I don't think it means anything. Next, I want to get into some WWE talk. Some people may not like this, but I love it. The WWE is fun to watch. Give in. You know you like it. Don't be a hater. I'm talking to some of my friends right now. Don't be a hater. The WWE is entertaining. Give in. No one cares if it's not real. I don't think it wants to be real. It's entertainment. Watch it. But one thing I'm really excited for in the WWE is seeing the future of Ronda Rousey. And after I was writing this piece segment, I should say, writing the notes for it, Rousey is set to sign her official, in air quotes, official WWE contract at the WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event. So I'm glad to see we'll finally get opening for Rousey soon. I really like that. I'm excited to see what Rousey has, or what the WWE has planned for Rousey, because I'm a Rousey fan. I think she's really cool. While her last 2 fights in the UFC did not end well, and she was not a very good sport about it, I like what she did for the sport. I like what she did for a lot of things. I think she's a cool person, and I'm excited to see her succeed in something else. Now, I hope in her real WWE debut something good happens. I think it'll either go one of 2 or 3 ways. My first way, I think, is they'll book her against Nia Jax. Nia Jax, for people who don't know, is basically like the woman Big Show. Like when the Big Show first came into the WWE, he was the unstoppable force. You could compare him now to Braun Strowman. The unstoppable force, unbeatable. That's how they have Nia Jax booked right now. So I think one good way they could lead Ronda into the WWE is to have her face off against the unbeatable Nia Jax and eventually beat her. Hopefully. That could be a good way. Because if they want her to have this rowdy Ronda Rousey, aura, they'll have her beat the unstoppable force. They'll make people think, oh, she is that good. And hopefully, if it does happen, she could win a title from it. I don't know. It's bound to happen either way. So I don't know why I said hopefully. She's going to win a title. Sorry for the people who don't like Rousey, the people who are going to complain for the girls who put in a lot of work in the WWE. It's all about the dollars. That's what Vince cares about. That's what the WWE cares about. It's all about the dollars, and Ronda brings in the dollars. I think the second way, and to be honest, this will be, I think, maybe the most likely way, but also the least fan favorite way, is after Asuka wins the women's championship at WrestleMania, she's going to start a feud with Ronda, and Ronda's going to be the one to break her streak. Because right now, Asuka, she's got an undefeated streak in the WWE. She hasn't been beaten in something like 2 years. And people will not like if Ronda Rousey, the newcomer, is the one to break the streak. Now, hopefully, they don't do something really stupid and have her break the streak before she wins the belt. I think fans will not like that at all. So they should really wait until after she wins the belt at WrestleMania, which she's obviously going to do. They won't have her lose the streak without winning the belt. What would be the point of building up the streak? I don't see any other way of that situation going with Asuka. The third way is maybe they use Rousey to put someone over. I think while her losing wouldn't be good for her brand or something Ronda would like to do, but I think her losing to someone that the fans like would kind of put her over. They'd see, oh, they're not just gonna put Ronda Rousey in just to beat up everybody. They're actually gonna book her like a normal wrestler. You know, she's one of the gals, one of the guys. You know, I think that could be a good route to go, but I think that's probably the least likely thing that would happen. Most likely, one is she beats Asuka after she wins the belt, and 2, goes against Nia Jax and becomes the new unstoppable force. Now, I've been reading stories that a lot of women in the WWE are getting mad at Ronda Rousey because she's coming in and taking it by storm in a way. And a lot of fans are getting mad because she hasn't put in the same work. Well, she put in a work in another realm. I think she really opened the door in a lot of ways for these women wrestlers. She was the one who opened the door for these women wrestlers to become women wrestlers instead of divas, as they were previously known, which I know for a fact that they didn't like, which is why they changed it. So she was the one who did that because she made combat sports for women something really, really to behold. She was the actual unstoppable force. When she was coming in and armbarring people in 13 seconds, taking them out, that's what people came to see. Tons and tons of people came to see the UFC to watch Ronda Rousey win. And that opened the door for the WWE in a quasi way because the WWE is something that mimics real fighting in some sort of the sense. Because some people think it's real, and you know what? More power to those people, because that just adds to the fun. I'm still talking to you, haters. Give in. Watch the WWE. You'll like it. I promise. Next, I want to talk about LaVar Ball. Now, I was sort of on the LaVar Ball train, sort of on his side. I think I thought the BBB thing was funny as kind of a meme, kind of a joke. I thought, truthfully, I thought that he was doing a good thing. He was a really smart dad. While he may have been crazy, he did get all of his son's scholarships at UCLA, one of the best schools in the country. So, can't fault him there. And another thing I thought about too was, why are all these people getting mad that a dad's saying good things about his sons? I bet if I was in the same position as Lonzo or LaMelo or LiAngelo were, and my dad was able to talk to the media, he'd probably say the same thing as he did. My dad probably wouldn't have, because he's not that type of guy, but he would probably say it in confidentiality, because that's what dads do. They think their kids are the best ever and they can do the best out of anything. So I thought that was cool. And I thought people hating on that was kind of corny and kind of dumb and kind of sad, because that's just a dad who's talking big for his kids because he really loves what they're doing. But then I saw him start to become crazy when he sent his kids to Lithuania. Why would you send your kids to Lithuania? You took them out of high school? You took them out of college. Oh. Sure, one of them made a mistake and stole in China. That was really dumb. He learned his lesson, though. He was about to start his season at UCLA. And you took away their scholarships? I don't understand that. They're making $1,000 in Lithuania. Oh. That's what you did. That's really dumb. Your shirt company isn't making that much money, and I doubt you're going to have Lonzo pay all the bills forever, because I don't know how much longer teams are going to want him because of what you're saying. So I'm kind of off the LaVar Ball train. I was on it for a while. I would defend him. I think he's really funny. I think he says some funny stuff. I think when he went on Monday Night Raw and took his shirt off and got in the Miz's face, I thought that was hilarious. But taking your kids' scholarships from UCLA because you don't agree with some of the stuff they did, I don't like that. I don't think you should do that. I think that was really dumb, in fact. How's Lithuania working out for him? Could be good, I guess. I don't know. Now this is what he's saying now. He says, Lonzo's not going to re-sign with the Lakers unless they sign his other two kids. Which, why would the Lakers want to do that? Lonzo hasn't even played every game this year and hasn't been all that good in every game he's played this year. In fact, the Lakers have been starting to play really good without him. I don't think this is the right time for LaVar to be shooting off, especially now. I think from some articles I've been reading that that the Lakers may be looking to trade Lonzo, and maybe that's for the better. Maybe he needs to go to a Sacramento or something like that, where Vlade Divac will put up with all three of the Ball kids and LaVar. Maybe he wants the LaVar show. He wants the Kardashians on the court. I was going to say the Kardashians on ice, but you do not play basketball on ice. You play basketball on a wooden court. So the Kardashians on wood, hardwood. Don't want that. Maybe Vlade Divac does. He certainly seems like that's something he wants. After I read a couple articles, he was trying to botch the trade. The three-way trade the Cavs had with the Jazz and the Kings. He was trying to botch that trade. I read an article from Woj on ESPN. He was talking about the 24 hours leading up to the trade deadline for the Cavs, and he was talking about how Altman was talking to Divac and they had a deal, and they said, okay, we'll include the Jazz in this deal so we can make the financials work. And he said, okay. So he calls the Jazz, and he gets the deal worked out with them, so they're all in agreement. Then Divac faxes or forwards whatever the papers over to the Jazz, and he puts in a different player, or puts in another player. And the Jazz obviously get pissed because they agreed to something else. And it almost blew up the trade from what the article says. And I think that's so maybe that's a sign that Vlade Divac likes crazy. Maybe he wants the 3 balls and he wants LaVar up there talking crazy all the time. Probably not. Now, if the Lakers, everybody says this, I don't buy into it. Everybody says it though. They talk about how LeBron's going to go to the Lakers. I think that talk is dumb. I don't think he's going to go to the Lakers. I don't know why he'd go to the Lakers, especially with Lonzo there. Why he would want to put up with LaVar, I could not tell you. But I think as of now, LaVar has dug Lonzo a really big hole. And he needs to play really well to get out of it. And from what he's shown, maybe he has the skills to do it. He might have to fix his shot. Might have to start making more threes. He's been defending well. I'll give him that. He's been passing well. Grabbing a couple boards, sure, but why do you need to do that as a guard? Guards need to pass and make shots. So, Lonzo needs to step his game up. Really needs to step his game up if he's going to walk the talk that his dad's been giving. And his dad has been giving a lot of talk. And if I could talk to LaVar, I'd tell him to shut up. You made the news enough. You done enough good for your sons and now enough bad. I think it's time to calm down for a little bit. You got the big house for Lonzo. You got the big in air quotes company with the BBB shoes. You got LaMelo the Lambo. He's driving around. You got LaMelo his own shoes. And what are you doing to LiAngelo? What's up with that, man? Do you just not like him? He doesn't get his own shoes? I haven't seen him in any cars. If I was LiAngelo, I'd be pissed. What the hell's up with that? You know what? This is something we need to research. I'm going to talk to my producer. He's going to look something up. He's going to find out why the Balls have been shafting LiAngelo. I really want to know. I feel bad for LiAngelo. Everybody else gets stuff, and it seems like, and you know what? Every time I see LiAngelo too, he's always in some kind of like tank top and some raggedy shorts, like some raggedy basketball shorts. Maybe that's why he had to steal from that store in China, because LaVar won't give him any money. He's holding all the money for LaMelo and Lonzo. I think LaMelo will be pretty good. Maybe he just doesn't see that for LiAngelo. He did say before that he thinks one of his sons won't be able to make it in the NBA. Man, that's probably LiAngelo. Sad though. Sad though. I mean, at least for the press conference after he stole from China, LaVar let him wear the button-up shirt and the dress pants. All jokes aside, though, I think LaVar has dug his kids into some holes, and I don't think he's doing them any favors at this point. So that's all I have on that. I think this will conclude the second episode of the Desert Heat Sports Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your ears, your feedback, your comments. If you want to talk to me, you can email me any suggestions you have about the show at desertheatsports@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at King Altmaier. My name's on the logo for the podcast, so you can type in my last name from there, just King in front of it. Nothing special. You can follow the podcast page at Desert Heat Sports on SoundCloud and Twitter. Other than that, I wish you a good day, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you very much. Peace out, people.